Hello Internet, Felix here, and let's talk Battleborn factions. There's 5 factions that playable characters come from. The generic Imperium, the United Peacekeeping Republic, the Rogues, the Eldridge, and the Last Light Consortium. Let's start off with the generic Imperium. Generic for short, the mighty generic Imperium once led the fight against the Varelsi, forging alliances with the other factions to save the stars from the void. But in a desperate turn to spare his people from darkness, the warlord Lothar Rendane staged a coup to seize control of the Imperium and aligned its destiny with that of the Varelsi. Though the generic have lost much in their struggle, they remain one of the strongest military forces in Solus. The generic is Battleborn's imperialist faction, and they come from the planet Tempest. Their ruler is an empress, but a lot of the power of the empire is held by an elite immortal upper class called the Sustain. The position as a Sustain is usually given at birth, but it can also be obtained through the generic gladiatorial arenas. One such case is that of Caldarius, who got a place among the elite after winning a gladiator tournament. However, the Sustain used their power to imprison Caldarius instead of giving him the position. To me, these guys seem like they're gonna be the Red Lanterns of Battleborn. It's all about ruling everyone else through power and winning at all costs. They're red and they're angry. Next up is the United Peacekeeping Republic, or Peacekeepers for short. A collection of civilizations banded together under the banner of mutual protection, freedom, and equality. America. The nomadic UPR, like the other factions, now find themselves in Solus with no home to call their own. Though recently crippled by the secession of one of their strongest constituents, the Last Light Consortium, the UPR remains nonetheless committed to their idealistic sense of justice. The Peacekeepers consider themselves to be the sworn protectors of Solus. They are battle-hardened veterans with a great sense of camaraderie. Based on the characters we've seen so far, it seems like these guys are way more into guns than every other faction. Next up we have the Rogues. The unaffiliated free people of Solus, colloquially known as the Rogues. Misfits, renegades, and survivalists answering to no one. The Rogues make their home in the detritus ring, far from the squabbling of the other factions. But they too will have a part to play in determining the fate of the last star. Gearbox refers to the Rogues as a faction that isn't really a faction. They have no official chain of command, and they don't really work together. They just kinda show up and live in the same place. They're made up of smugglers, pirates, salvagers, pretty much all of the misfits that don't fit into society, and are all just interested in their own well-being. Next we have the Eldridge, a naturalistic order of observers and scientists charged with the stewardship of the natural order of the cosmos. Long ago, the reach of the legendary Eldridge spanned entire galaxies, but as the stars themselves have faded into darkness, so too has the might of this ancient faction. As all eyes turn to Solus, what remains of the Eldritch are grappling with their place in a darkening universe as they rally in defense of the last star. The Eldritch are Battleborn's peaceful, nature-loving, tree-hugging faction. Even though their main members are Elven, they'll accept anyone else who's willing to fight in the sight of nature. Captain Planet, if you want to make a comeback, pretty sure the Eldritch are recruiting.
Go Planet!
The Eldritch leaders are usually pretty peaceful and avoid war. But as the fate of all nature is at risk, they decided to take a last stand and fight against the coming darkness. Next, we have the Last Light Consortium, or LLC for short. The mostly cybernetic LLC is the greatest economic power left in the universe, defined by a relentless pursuit of profit no matter the cost. Once a constituent body of the United Peacekeeping Republics, the LLC abandoned the coalition when it became clear that principles and purpose did little to contribute to the bottom line. The LLC owns and operates Minion Robotics, the largest weapons manufacturer still standing. The LLC are war profiteers, made up primarily of robots, but there are some few remaining human members, and they're filthy freaking rich. They produce weapons and sell them to all the other factions, regardless of who it is or their goals. They also control the Minion service, Minion Robotics, which is something I assume we're gonna see a lot of in the more MOBA-oriented game modes. Lastly, as a non-player faction, we have the main enemy faction, the Varelsi. Hailing from an antimatter universe, they are the force responsible for the destruction of all the stars in the universe with the exception of Solus. As previously mentioned, after staging a coup, the generic commander Lothar Rendane allied his people with the Varelsi in a last-ditch attempt to survive the coming apocalypse. Well, that's it for the Battleborn factions. You guys interested in any one of them specifically? Personally, I know I'm going to focus myself on the generic Imperium characters. That's all for today. See y'all next time.